All right, guys, bad news, bad news, bad news. You might have heard by now, but Amazon is closing down its Vella option for authors and writers. And this actually just came in a couple of hours ago. It was on Vella's site and Amazon site, and reading the details. I'll share the link with you guys here as well. But I'm curious, like, what are your thoughts on this, right? What happened with Kindle Vella or Amazon Vella? Did they not promote it well enough to the point where people just didn't know about it? You guys may know me as Ty Cohen, the Amazon Kindle Publishing King, and I've taught people how to publish on Amazon since 2008. To do if you're someone that's publishing on Amazon and you're publishing to Vella, what are your thoughts? I'm curious to know. Like, what are your thoughts with this? Let me know in the chat box here. I am actually live right now, so it'll be interesting to see the comments that come in. I wanted to get this to you guys right away, and I'm actually going to go over here and I want to read um, just what you'll see here. Who participated in Kindle Vella, and while we remain committed to experimenting and testing new ideas to deliver unique and delightful experiences for both readers and authors, Kindle Vella hasn't caught on as we hope. Now, I want to stop right here because this is important right here. Kindle Vella hasn't caught on as we hoped. I think Amazon is playing games here because they have the platform, they have the opportunity to be able to go in and push this thing. I don't think they marketed it in the way that they should have. Let me know. What are your thoughts? I think Amazon could have really made Bella Publishing a huge thing, right? We have in our community, we have a Bella Publishing program that the students loved. They embraced it. They were excited about this. We had a ton of people on this thing, people kicking butt, getting good results with it. And I think that had Amazon pushed it more and made it available outside of the limited areas that it was in, right? The United States, et cetera, then it could have just really exploded. It could have really exploded, right? So we have students that are literally just in tons of different countries, dozens of different countries. And a lot of our students who were not able to go in and publish to Vella wanted to publish. They expressed interest in publishing to Vella, right? So I think that Amazon dropped the ball there. I think they could have done a better job. And there's also people who are like, hey, I'm glad that it's done with. I'm glad that Vela is coming to an end because I was starting to get a little bit of burnout, right? So I'll share more about that in just a minute. Some of the comments that have been coming in from people who are actually thrilled that Vela is over, which I don't agree there. I think it was a great opportunity for people to go in and, number one, build up the habit of consistently writing and publishing, right? Because you're publishing in this short form. I think it was great. James Clear talks about a time in the book Atomic Habits, right? Which is this book here. He talks about to be good at something. You intentionally go in and you set the habit, intentionally set the habit, right? And not just drifting and hoping that the habit is going to take place. Right. So I think that Vella was great for authors who needed to have that push, that regular, consistent push. I think it was great for readers who wanted to come in and always read something, right? My wife was a big fan of short reads, and she's been doing short reads way before Vella. There's all of the other platforms that you can do this stuff on. Um, but I want to go back before I go in and start showing you some of people who are kind of happy that Vella is coming to an end. I want to go back over to Amazon. Let's go back over here. Let's continue reading. So, when will this happen? So, as we wind down the program, we want to give authors and readers the opportunity to finish stories they have started. So, starting October 28th, which is, I mean, right around the corner, right? We'll no longer accept new stories or episode comments. You can continue publishing new episodes for existing stories. We encourage you to publish your Kindle Vella story as an ebook on KDP. So, this is good. You can come over to KDP and start publishing. If you're not familiar with how to do this, I have an entire training over at kindlecashflow.com / VSL. So like Victor, Larry, Sam, kindlecashflow.com uh, / VSL. So this is good. So you could take that content, you could do something else with it. The other thing is, I'm going to give you some other things that you can do so that something like this, if it happens, it doesn't devastate you, right? We have a lot of people that have been publishing to Vella. and Vella might be their only source of income. It might be the only thing that they have as an outlet. And then this thing comes to an end after they've been doing well. And then it's like, okay, now I got to start all over again. So I'm going to give you some options in this video that you should be doing because one is the worst number ever in business. Doesn't matter if you're an author, doesn't matter if you're a writer, but if you're depending on one stream of income, if you're depending on one reader, one customer, one of anything, one book, right? One genre, then you're just doing it all wrong. And that's the mistake that I've made. I've been in the digital publishing space for well over 20 years. I got started with Amazon Advantage back in 1998. So 1998, right? 2007, I get started with Amazon Kindle publishing. And one of the worst mistakes that I had made back in 1998 when I first got started with Amazon Advantage, which many of you guys may not be familiar with, is I was just publishing to one type of reader, right? Initially. And then what happens is if something breaks, if something goes away, right? You're just done. You've put all of your time, all of your effort into that thing, right? So I'm going to share with you guys how you can prevent that from happening. So first, let me go back over here, and then we're going to go in and look at what some people are saying about Vella and if they're happy about it closing down, those that are sad about it closing down, those that, like myself, think that Amazon has just made a big mistake. I think they could have really um, blown this thing up. All right. So we encourage you to publish your Kindle Vella story as an ebook on KDP. And again, if you go over to kindlecashflow.com/webinar or /VSL, I'll show you how to do that. Um, on November 4th, we will make it possible for you to download stories directly from your Kindle Vella library. So they are easy to republish as ebooks. In mid-November, we'll announce our last Kindle Vella bonus for reading that book that took place in October. And then on December 4th, new episode publishing will no longer be available. Again, this is a shame that this program is coming to an end, right? Readers will no longer be able to buy new tokens. Readers will be able to use remaining tokens to unlock published stories and episodes until the program closes in February 2025. This is crazy. What a way to start 2025 off. Authors will continue to earn 50% of what readers spend on the tokens used to unlock their episodes. And then February 2025, we will close the program. Your Kindle Vella episode and stories will no longer be available to purchase on Amazon. All right. Look, guys, if you need a way to kind of prevent something like this from happening, you've put all of your time. I know people that have put, I mean, just a lot of time into publishing content on Vella. If you need a way to prevent this from happening, I want you to join us in a community, publishlikeapro.com. It's a free community right now for anyone that's interested in learning how to publish digital content. So it's publishlikeapro.com. I'll put it up here. Go in and join the community right now. It's free. At some point, we will be making it a paid community, but everyone that gets in right now, you will be grandfathered in, so you'll never pay anything. So it is going to be publish like a pro.com. All right. So go join publishlikeapro.com. I'm going to show you how you can not only publish to Amazon KDP, but also to all of the other different platforms that are out there. Will show you how to publish your own courses if you want to start learning how to publish your own digital courses. But I think the best thing that you can do is you can use platforms like Amazon, right, to help get the visibility, to practice, to kind of hone your skills. But you should always be driving your customers, driving people that are interested in what it is that you have to your own platforms, meaning you should be driving them to your own website. You should be driving them to your own blog. Most importantly, you should be driving them to your funnels. All right. So your website, your blog, which is what actually the author of this book, James Clear, did, and he successfully did this really, really well. I'll talk about that later if you guys want to hear it. But you should also, most importantly, be driving them to your funnel. All right. So these three things operate a little bit differently. A website you can use to go in. This is more like branding. When you're thinking about branding, right? You want to get your author name out there. You want to get the book title, or maybe your series out there. Maybe you got a box set or something you want to get some recognition for it. You can use a website. A website is a little bit old school, right? You're very limited with a website. Your blog, you can do what James Clear did, which is, I think, brilliant. You can go in and you can start to um, just build up this fan base of people that appreciate your writing. It could be folks that either appreciate your writing in a fiction sense or in a nonfiction sense, and they're coming in and they're getting these small bits of your writing. All right, very similar to Vella publishing, right? So where people are coming in, they're getting these small bits of your writing. But with a funnel, what you can do with a funnel that's unique is you can start to generate what's known as leads, right? So you could start generating leads. And these are basically people that are interested in your writing to the point where they are willing to give you their name and their email address. So they'll be willing to give you their name, their email, and in some cases, their phone number. Now, if you guys are watching this or you've been following me for any time, you are probably on my list and you've given me this information here. You've given me your name, your email, your phone number at some point, right? And why would you do that? So as a writer, as an author, someone would be willing to do this. They'll give you their name, their email address, their phone number in exchange for a sneak preview of your written content, maybe a prequel to your book if you are someone who publishes fiction, right? Maybe a sample of your book if you're someone who publishes nonfiction. This right here is something that every single digital publisher should be doing. You should be in control of your own destiny. Like these big companies, Amazon and all Facebook, none of them really care about us. It's all about the dollar. Would you agree? Like none of them care about us. And at any moment, they could go in and they could make a change as they did over here, as you see on your screen here, right? As they did over here, where they're now coming in and they're taking people who have done very well with Vella, and they're saying in a snap of a finger, that's it. We don't want you anymore. We've used you to see if this thing works out. It doesn't work. We don't need you at all. Like this video right now if you agree with me. Like this if you should always want to be in control of your destiny. Give me a thumbs up if you think that this is true, right? Or if you don't think that this is true, right? Maybe you think that it's okay to put your destiny, your creative work. You guys are super smart. There's people that are smart, that are great writers, that are just good people that take these platforms and you're putting your work on these platforms, and then at just the stroke of a pen, they can come in and they can say, hey, all right, next month we don't need you anymore. 2 months, we don't need you anymore. And then now it's going in to start all over again. This was the best thing that I ever learned to do 15, 16, 17 years ago. And I've been able to build up a list of just hundreds of thousands of people, nearly a million people, hundreds of thousands of people. Imagine if you had a list of 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 people who enjoyed your writing to the point where every time you release a book, you can now go to your list and you can say, hey, Joanne, you appreciate my romance novel. Here's the next episode that's coming out. Here's the next book. Book number 3 in my series of 7 is coming out on Friday. Go in and place your pre-order here. Do you see how this works? So you should never let these companies. I mean, we use these companies. I publish a lot of stuff on Kindle. Obviously, I've published a ton of stuff. I do really well with it. Have always done really well with it. Taught other people how to do this. But I'm never going to have it where that number one comes in and bites me in the butt. And you guys shouldn't either. This number right here, if you have just one platform that you're depending on, if you have just one, imagine if you had just one reader, right? So every time you released a new book, you just had this one reader. And at any moment, if that one reader ran away, they no longer liked your content, maybe they died, right? Then you're screwed. So at any moment, right, these platforms could do the same thing. So if you have one platform, one reader, everyone should be building up their email list. Now, here's where it gets even better. Here's where it gets even better. Not only should you be building up your email list, but you should also be continuously communicating to these people, continuously communicating to them. And how does that look? What does that look like? How do you communicate to someone that's on your email list so that they stay engaged and they want to make sure that you continue to do that. You continue to communicate to them. Well, here's some things. Here's some examples of what you can do in your emails, right? So, number one, you can inform them. So these are ideas of the types of emails that you can send to your email list. Informational. So you can inform them. And what this means is you can inform them on what's coming up next, what books are coming up next, what are you working on right now, right? What's your creative process like? What time people want to know things like what time do you get up in the morning and when do you start writing? Like, trust me, people want to live through you. They want to know like how long do you write? They want to know like what's your writing schedule? They want to know how often do you write? How many times in a week? So you can go in, you can share a glimpse of your life with them. So this is informational here. The next thing could be how do you come up with ideas? So people will always want to know how do you come up with ideas, right? So it might be your ideas. So this is sort of like informational, but it's ideas for your characters. How do you come up with ideas for your storylines? How do you come up with ideas for your plots, right? The other thing that you can include in some of your emails, and all of these could be different emails, right? It could be sneak peeks, right? So you give them a sneak peek into what's coming up next. All right. So what's coming up next? So that could be it. The other thing that you could do in your emails is that you could sell people. You could sell people, and everyone should be doing this. You could sell people on the next books that are coming out, right? What are you working on next? You could sell them on your prequels. You could sell them into advanced copies, right? So there's a lot of things that you could do when you have your email list, and you can keep your list up to date. All right. So getting back to this here, with Amazon making this announcement here, I think that this is really going to. I think it's going to not only take business from Amazon as a whole in a way. I think people are going to kind of lack trust and be less trustworthy of just the KDP platform in itself. Like if they can go in and they can do this to publishers that are putting content up on Vella, who's to say that they can't do it to those of us that are publishing on KDP? Right? Like think about that. Have you ever thought about that? Right? So this, I think this is a really bad move, and I think that it's a short-sighted move. Right? So now let's continue. Here's how they say we should prepare. How to prepare. What if I have more episodes to publish? Well, we recommend you publish any scheduled or remaining episodes you have as soon as possible. So now they want to rush you out, right? You will no longer be able to publish new episodes after December 4th. Can I download my story content? We strongly encourage you to download your Kindle Vella stories and republish them as ebooks. And again, to learn how to do this, go over and visit kindlecashflow.com/VSL. VSL as in Victor Sam Leary, right? So you can learn how to go in and take your ebooks, or I'm sorry, your Vella stories and publish them as ebooks. Right, we've updated our content guidelines so that you may be published immediately. So now they've changed the TOS, the terms of the service, so that now all of a sudden it is okay to go in and publish your content, right? Your Vella stories as ebooks, whereas before you couldn't do it. On November 4th, so this is what I mean. Like these big companies, they'll go in and they change the rules like this. They change it like this, right? So that it fits them. That's why you always want to be in control of your destiny. All right. Please note that your Kindle Vella content will no longer be accessible uh, in your KDP dashboard after Kindle Vella finishes winding down February 2025. Right? How can I unpublish my Kindle Vella stories? Then it just goes on and payments. So this is where people were pretty interested in out more, right? Will I still receive a Kindle Vella bonus payment? Let's see what they say about this. So the final Kindle Vella bonus announcement will be shared in November for October reading activity. So we're kind of cutting this short to a degree. Learn more about Kindle Vella payments and reporting. If you've earned a bonus, you'll receive an email and see the bonus amount in your KDP reports Kindle Vella dashboard. It'll be very interesting to see if they carry through with making sure that the bonus payments are what they normally would have been had this program continued. Right? What are your thoughts? Let me know. What are your thoughts on that? Right? Because I think that's very important. All right. So Jennifer says, I really don't think they'll get rid of KDP. They made too much money from it. Yeah, you know what? So that might be true. Who knows? I hope not. I hope not. All right. Where do I download my Kindle Vella reports? You can go in and download the reports. Will this affect my royalty payment amounts? No, you will continue to earn 50% of what readers spend on the tokens used to unlock your episodes. Now, I think that what happens is they know that once this news hits, what's going to happen? Leaders are going to stop. They're going to stop spending on tokens. And I guarantee you it's going to happen like almost immediately, starting today. So that means less royalties, obviously, right? So royalties spending is going to dwindle, and then royalties are going to dwindle right along with it. All right. Um, Again, guys, if you want to learn how to make sure that you kind of cushion yourself against something like this happening, join the publishlikeapro.com community. It's a free community for digital publishers who want to learn about Kindle publishing, who want to learn about audiobook publishing, uh, just publishing courses and workshops and events and just anything that relates to the digital publishing realm. Just join us at Kindle, not Kindle, but publishlikeapro.com. All right. Like this video if you think that Amazon is handling this the wrong way. Like this video if you think that Amazon could have put more marketing and more effort behind the Vela program. I think they could have. I think they could have made it available to more countries. I think they could have given it a harder push. Very few people knew about it in relation to like KDP. Not as many people know about Vela as they do about KDP, right? So like this video if you think that they could have put more effort into it, right? What are your thoughts? And let me know your thoughts. Jennifer, I appreciate you commenting here. Let me know, what are your thoughts on this whole entire thing? Do you think that they're handling it the right way? Do you think they're handling it the wrong way? What are you going to do to kind of make sure that you protect yourself from going all in on something and then having one of these big companies pull the rug underneath you, right? And then I want to go over here. So let's go over here. I want to take a look at on Reddit what people are saying on Reddit, right? So I'm going to expand this a little bit so you guys can see this. So take a look. So this is one person who went in and he posted here. I got this note from a writer friend. I can't help but think a lot of people feel this way now. So it'll be interesting. I think you're going to be really kind of, there's going to be people who are on either side, right? Some people are going to agree with him. Some people are not going to agree with him. I'll just say it. I'm kind of relieved Kindle Vella's ending. Not that it wasn't fun at first. I love the idea of writing and bite-sized episodes, putting my work out there, seeing if people cared enough to follow along. But over time, I started caring more about the views, the bonuses, and the charts than I did about actually writing anything worthwhile. So is that you? Do you agree? Let me know if you agree with this guy. Give me a thumbs up if you agree. So just like if you agree. All right. Now let's go back. I became obsessed with hacking the system instead of improving as a writer. This is what happens, right? It becomes this habit where you start to get these dopamine hits, and dopamine hits could be the views, it could be the bonuses, it could be, the activity on the charts. And then now what's happening is we become Pavlov's dog, where we're just reacting to the stimulus. And now we're just doing things for the dopamine hit, right? Every day I'd wake up, check my dashboard, look at the rankings, and tweak my release times or word counts just to stay visible. I was always looking up the latest strategies, right? There's these hacks, the latest strategies, or debating on forums about what kinds of cliffhangers would get the most clicks. So this again, it becomes all about the dopamine hit, right? It was like being caught in this endless loop of trying to game the platform. And here's the thing: we see this a lot in different areas. But be honest, was this something that you, as a contributor to Vela, did you find yourself like being really caught in and obsessed with like all of the bonuses, the charts, the views, and everything else? Let me know. And let's just have an honest moment here. Let me know. Right? It was like being caught in this endless loop of trying to game the platform. I'd obsess over how to structure each episode so people would keep reading, even if I had no real plot in mind. right? Now that's not that's this he's actually being honest here, because this is not normally how a real writer or author would function, right? A real writer or author is all about the creativity and the enjoyment of the reader. I appreciate the fact that he's being honest here and saying, look, I got away from that. I got away from this thing, right? So I'm kind of having mixed feelings on this to a degree. I agree with him, um, but I don't agree with the fact that I'm glad that it's over. All right. Because again, a lot of people were doing extremely well on Vela, and to have this thing pulled from underneath them, I don't think it's cool. All right. Uh, let's see. Samuel says, "Oh, Sam. Hey, Sam. So the bonuses were the only reason to write fella." There you go. All right. So Sam's a real honest guy too. So Sam's gonna let you know how it is. So thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. Now let's go back. Or how to change, or so he says, even if I had no real plot in mind, or how to title things to get the most attention. I wasn't even writing for myself anymore. I was writing for an algorithm. This is what does this remind you of here? Right. Well, he says, I wasn't even writing for myself anymore. I was writing for an algorithm. What does this remind you of here? Reminds you of social media. Sometimes we'll go in and put up a post for the algorithm, right? We're putting up a post for the likes, for the comments, for the shares, right? We'll put up a post. We're hardly ever thinking, man, I'm gonna go put up this post and I hope it doesn't get any engagement. At some degree, to some point, everything that we post on Facebook or Instagram or wherever it may be, even here on YouTube, right? We're thinking, I'm hoping people enjoy this. I hope people appreciate this. I hope I get some type of a reaction, right? Good or bad, to some degree. There's some level of thought that's going into it. And then the burnout hit hard. I realized I hadn't, and you guys are going to, when you see responses, it's going to shock you with this. Right. So I'm going to get to the responses. And when you see this, it's going to be really shocking to you. Let me check and see what time it is here. Right. Because I got a call at the top of the hour I got to jump into. But I want to share this with you just to kind of get your feedback and to get your input and just to see where you're at with this. All right. So going back. So let me stop sharing and then let me for Reddit post. All right. So then he goes in, he says, and then the burnout hit hard. I realized I hadn't written anything real in months, right? So he's being real with this. I hadn't written anything real in months. I wasn't creating anything with depth. Nothing I could look back on and say, yes, I'm proud of that. Everything was geared towards staying on top, being part of a weekly bonus game, not being forgotten in the pile of endless stories, right? So when the news came that Kindle Vella was shutting down, my first reaction wasn't anger or sadness. And let me know if you are here. My first reaction wasn't anger or sadness, it was relief. So he's saying he felt like there's this weight that's lifted off of his shoulder. Is this where you're at too? Let me know. I felt like I was finally off the hook, like I could just stop. No more obsessing over numbers, no more bending my writing into a pretzel just to get a little boost in visibility. I wasted so much time trying to make it work instead of making my writing work. Maybe now I can actually write something I care about without thinking about algorithms or charts. I can just write. And then I want to get into the comments and some of the reactions that other people have posted here. But I want to first hear from you. What do you think? Is this how you feel? Do you feel the same? Right? Black screen. You guys should do you see a black screen now? You should be able to see my screen. Let me know. All right. Thank you, Jennifer. But is that how you feel? Like I'm kind of torn on this thing. I think that this was a great platform. I think it was a good outlet for creative people. I do think that if it got to a point where, and not everyone was like this, maybe, but if you were just chasing the algorithm, then maybe it is a good time for you to step back and kind of reassess what it is that you're doing as an author, as a creative person, right? So now let's look at some of the comments that came in. So take a look here, right? There are plenty of people who write in a serial format, and Vella isn't the only platform for it, which is right true. My wife has been reading serial content way before Vela ever got started. There's so many different apps that are out there, and even just platforms in general. Did Vela itself suck? Maybe, I don't know, but I've never used it. But this sounds more like your friend just doesn't want to write serials, which is valid, but other people do like writing serials, which is also valid. So let me know where you stand on this. All right, exactly this. One of my best friends prefers to write serials, and his stories are great. Serials aren't for everyone, but for many, they're everything. So Are they for you? Are they not for you? Right. So I'm curious. Are they for you? Are they not for you? So let's take a look at this one. Vote Marvel. Vote Marvel says with sites like Royal Road out there, I wonder how Amazon thought Vella would succeed. That's a great question because there's been some of these platforms that have been out there for a long time. Hell, if they just charged actual money for the chapters, that would have enticed more people to read. Instead, they went for the scummy mobile game tactic of having to purchase an intermediate currency, which of course you could never buy in amounts you needed, always a little more or a little less. I do think that them trying to go in and gamify it to a degree kind of hurt them as well. When I first saw that they had that token set up, I wasn't a big fan of it. There's just something about it that just didn't sit right with me. Right. So let me know what were your thoughts on the token system as well. Right. The other thing is I do think that they didn't make it easy for nonfiction publishers. Right. So I think that that was another area where we kind of screwed up. So here, Secrets Pal says Royal Road, while accepting to all genres, really focuses on its own niche for the most part. I think if Vela did it right, they could have been decent. But like you said, the scummy tactics would always be their downfall. 100%. I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. I hadn't heard it was closing down, so I immediately went to verify. Here's the info. So he's just posted that same link. I'm going to give you guys this link as well in the description. It was one of those pyramid platforms where early adopters that used it frequently got sizable payouts, and the rest of the people never saw much of anything. I disagree with this. Totally disagree with this because as I said, so in our community, we had two of our students, so Caroline and Aaron, who taught how to, you know, taught how to publish content on Vela in the ethical way where students were getting great results, right? So I do disagree that it was one of those pyramid platforms where only early adopters did well because we had people that were just coming in and they were successful with it. All right. So I think this person is a little bit salty and he may have, or she may have, all right for being so. I never liked it. It was only ever a cash grab when I saw that they wouldn't give authors royalties for things brought with free credits, and they based the payments off the price of the credits. I wasn't a fan. Yeah, that's where I stood with it as well. As a reader, I never tried it beyond one time with the free credits and didn't like it. This is good to hear from a reader's perspective. I want the full story all at once and dislike not being able to read on my Kindle, but rather having to click through and reload every short chapter on the computer like it was FSNet. I also wasn't a fan of a weird token pricing scheme and not knowing how much I would have to pay to read the full story. So, from a reader's perspective, right? So, this is interesting to hear what the readers thought about it, right? I greatly prefer paying for Kindle Unlimited memberships, which I think this is where they need to stand, right? They need to stay with Kindle Unlimited because Kindle Unlimited helps both the readers and the authors and contributors to be able to benefit. All right. Where I get all the books I want for a monthly membership fee. And we're so used to this, right? So with Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu and everything else, YouTube TV, we're used to being able to pay a certain amount every month and get all we want, right? This sounds a bit like Desmond and Lost, who has this routine of living just to put in the numbers every 108 minutes. That's what I was kind of thinking to a degree. I'm disappointed. I really like Vela. First time I hear about this, but it sounds exactly like social media rewarding for quantity instead of quality. Yes, absolutely. So at the very beginning stages of Kindle publishing, like I said, I got started with in 2007. All right. The year that my second daughter, my youngest daughter, Summer, was born, 2007. And Kindle, KDP was the Wild West. You just had people putting up a bunch of crap. I mean, they were repurposing stuff, they were taking PLR, private label rights content, and publishing it on Amazon, and just a bunch of junk was up there, right? Here I am one of the individuals that's publishing quality, and everyone that's watching this, no matter what platform you're publishing to, it should always be quality, right? Quality, quality, quality. But I saw the writing on the wall. And what Amazon did back then was it wasn't long before they went in, they started just removing tons and tons and tons of content that had been publishing or that had been published on KDP, and they started banning accounts and they started, restrictions and things like that. So it was like a cleanup process. So who knows? Maybe, they're going to go in and rethink Bella and maybe reintroduce it under another name with, just different ways of doing it. But it would be very interesting to see what they do. It'd be very, very interesting to see what they do. All right. Let's see what you guys are saying in the comments here. So Rusty Knox says it was super easy to publish, but I never felt like the rankings were fair. Seemed extremely arbitrary. All right. That's one way of looking at it, right? Merrick says, Merrick, hopefully I get your name right. I'm really concerned about ACX as well as Vela. Yes. All right. Let me know, why are you concerned with ACX? And I'll tell you why I'm concerned with it, but we'll get to that. Let me see. I see you've commented a bit more. So let me know why you're concerned with ACX, right? Jennifer Mathis says, hey Jen, I have all these tokens, but I have to get rid of before they shut down. That's a bummer right there, right? It's you know what this reminds me of? It's like when my kids were younger and we would take them to like Chuck E. Cheese and we were about to leave, the party was over or whatever, right? And I went in and I would go in and buy like $50 worth of tokens because I thought that we would get it done. And now we've got to go in and spend all of these tokens, or I'm giving them away to a parent that's just coming in or something like that, right? So it's sort of that feeling, right? It's like, okay, what do I do now, right? So I think that that's very unfair. Merrick says Amazon is not letting authors set their own price on Audible, but it's very much a monopoly. Yeah, I think that's troublesome. I think the other thing that I'm concerned with is now that there's so much audio AI, right? In terms of audio AI options that are out there. And like this video, guys, please just do me that favor, like the video. Take one quick second and like the video so that YouTube knows that I'm sharing good stuff. So if you think I'm sharing good stuff, if you guys are good people, just share, just like this video really quickly. All right, thank you. All right, most of my readers refuse to opt into Vella newsletter on 55 out of, okay. Yeah, that's, oh my God, 55 out of 2,600 subscribers opted in. Yeah, that's a very low opt-in rate. With KDP, I'm seeing dependable, steady growth. That's where you want to be. KDP is good. I've been at it forever, and knock on wood, I got glass here. I don't have any wood around here, but have never had a problem with my KDP accounts at all. All right. And I publish a lot: fiction, nonfiction, serials, one-offs, everything. All right. With KDP, I'm seeing dependable, steady growth. So very cool. If you publish crap with a token games, it didn't matter. That's why I don't like it. Yeah. Um, the authors have no control over pricing. On ACX last month, they put everything on sale for 99 cents. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of that. I've got a couple of friends who actually um, they sell physical products on Amazon, and every once in a while you'll see where Amazon they'll go in and they'll discount things as well. So that's not cool, right? So there we go, folks. Kindle Vella is coming to an end. Never allow a platform to just have so much control over you where you don't have an outlet, right? So again, as I said earlier, one is the worst number in business. You should never have one of anything. And if you're just getting to this video, I talked about how you can kind of prevent that from happening, how you can prevent when one of these big platforms comes in. I remember, look, Google did this, right? So Google used to have, well, they still do, Google AdWords, right? So it was Google AdWords. Way before Google AdWords, it was Overture, right? So it was called Overture. And way before Overture, it was Yahoo. So we would go and way before Yahoo, I forget what it was named. I'm having a brain freeze right now, but we would go in and we would advertise on all of these platforms. And then Yahoo started acting pretty finicky. And they would come up with all of these weird rules, and they started pushing a lot of small business owners out. And then we went over to Overture, which got kind of brought out. And then guess what happened? So after a while, we're having a lot of success on Overture. And then they start acting weird. They start pushing small business owners out. And that's exactly what Amazon is doing with Vella, right? Writers are small business owners. Even if you don't consider yourself to be one, you're a small business owner. You're exchanging something of value, your written content, for cash, hopefully, right? Hopefully you're exchanging it for cash. And then Google came into play with AdWords. And then Google started pushing small business owners out, right? We had a lot of success on AdWords. I know a lot of my buddies who are doing extremely well, making lots of money, just like with Vella. I know a lot of people, a lot of our students that are doing extremely well, making lots of money on Vella, and then now they come in and they pull this crap here, right? So Google did the same thing. So then their business started to suffer, and as you can tell, Google's up, right? But then when this took place, Facebook started to come in and they opened up their advertising platform. So Facebook ads, right? And then a lot of the people that got banned, that got kicked out here, they come down to Facebook and they started advertising here, right? One of the things that saved me big time was from the very beginning, I started to build out a list. And every single person that is watching this should be building a list. Now, what does that mean? That means you're building a list of people that are interested in what it is that you have as an author, as a publisher, as a digital publisher, whether it's fiction, nonfiction, it's a book, it's a Kindle book, it's an audio book, it's a digital course, it's a training program, maybe it's a workshop. You should have a way to keep in contact with them. If you don't have a way to keep in contact with them, then you're really leaving yourself vulnerable to when something like this happens. You know, there's many of our students who are just on Vela, and then when something like this happens, you're left in the cold, right? But if you have a list, now you can go in and you can start to make announcements to your list. You could have been marketing to your list all along, so now you're generating sales from your list as well as sales from Vela. All right, so if you want to learn how to build out your list, this is something that I'm going to be talking about. But many different ways that you can do it. Go in and join publishlikeapro.com for free. It's a free community. I'll put a link below this video. It's publishlikeapro.com. It's a free community for authors, writers, digital publishers, speakers, coaches, influencers, anyone that's looking for a way to take the ideas that they have here and monetize. All right. So with that said, hopefully you got some value out of this thing. Go in and like this video, and then let me know what are your thoughts on Vella and Amazon shutting it down and doing so with such short notice. All right. Thank you for watching. I'll see you. Stay well.